so buckle down.
So this is a general talk about getting an admit at a top university, right? So this is supposed to be an interactive talk, so feel free to interrupt me in sometimes for asking questions. So if you have any personal questions, that is, I am in this situation, what should I do? So please refrain from asking those questions because this is going to be a general talk. So if you have any personal questions, please, yeah. If you have any personal questions, please mail them to me later after this session, or just contact me after this session. Okay. So let's start with the topic, as you all know, is getting admission at a top university. Okay, so I'm giving this talk right now because I feel that this college lacks a culture of higher education, and it is mainly a kind of a information. It is a lack of information about the process of higher education and the admission process. Because over here it is a kind of a competitive environment. So even if you're applying, you won't tell your kind of the friends you meet around, and you won't be discussing them how are you applying and discussing the process with them. So this is a problem. So you will be only discussing these with your very close friends, if any. So the basic culture over here is that it is a feeling of competition. Which is a very bad, and which is actually a very bad culture over here, and it hurts everyone in the long term. So I'm trying to kind of bridge that gap so that you don't have to get into a kind of awkward situation where you might not be comfortable asking someone else. And also a very big problem in this college right now is that a first year person who might not be knowing about any of these things, he will only be asking these doubts from a second year, right? And the second year right himself won't be having such idea of applying to higher education, right? Because he hasn't done that yet. So I'm just trying to bridge that gap. So let's start with my background. So I passed out from electronics engineering in 2015, and I got a job offer in NVIDIA, and I have been working over there for 2 years. And after, so I applied this fall for fall admissions, and I got a spring admit into Carnegie Mellon University in their electrical and computer engineering department. And over there, I would be mainly working on machine learning stuff. So I haven't started it yet. So this is my very basic background, and I have been a core student over here. So my interests were electronics engineering, that is architecture, circuits, and things like that in the college. But when I actually went to NVIDIA, I got to work with machine learning and stuff. So over there, my interest developed into machine learning, and then here am I going to pursue masters in that field. Okay, yes, so I actually did the Coursera course in my second year, but that was of no use because I did not do any projects later on for building on that course. Yeah, so I just want to. So in my first year, when I came into the college, I had a kind of a passion for electronics and computer science in general. But when I came here, I met my seniors, and the attitude there was that you don't need to study, you will get the grades. You also don't need to study because you will get the job. Finally, sabhi job lag jati hai. And then I did various stuff, and then I realized that I was screwed at the end of my third semester. And then I started building up again. So the problem was I had an idea, I had a faint idea that I wanted to go for higher studies. But then because I had screwed up my first 3 semesters, I could not apply in my 4th year. So I took up the NVIDIA job, and then got some experience from there, and then building on that experience, I applied for masters. So I would have applied in my 4th year, and I actually encourage everyone to apply in their 4th years. But I could not because I lacked grades and a good profile for applying and getting into a good college. So I just waited. Okay, so that's about my background. And okay, so the question comes that why would one want to do graduate studies, right? So it is going to be a conscious choice. So you have to choose and you have to know about its pros and cons and then decide. So there are actually a lot of factors for graduate studies. Now graduate study is going to be a technical degree. That is mainly people do graduate studies when they want to improve on their skills, on their existing skills. So a person doing MS or PhD in electronics would be building up on the things that he has learned in his bachelor's, and then a person doing electrical masters would be building up on the coursework and the skills that he has learned in his electrical bachelor's. So it is so the first point would be to actually get to know more, to build up your technical skills, so that you can work with better jobs. By better I mean that you would be able to use your technical skills in your job. That is right. So other than that, masters also kind of ensures a higher paying job, right? So you would have heard that people over here get packages of 60 lakh or 1 crore rupees, right? So they don't actually get those in India. They are all foreign jobs, mainly American jobs. So the average package over there for a new employee is around $100,000, which is equal to 65 lakh rupees, right? So if you actually graduate from an American university and you get an American job over there, so you are assured to get at least $90,000 over there. Yeah.
So how easy or difficult it is to secure a job once you're out of college?
So it is. So it actually depends. So it depends on, first of all, how skilled you are, that is how well do you perform in your masters, and then the second point is the job scenario at that moment. So currently the job scenario is pretty good for computer sciences and maybe even electronics a bit, and I'm not sure about electrical and other branches. So it also depends on the job scenario, right? So if there are no jobs, so there would be no people filling those jobs, right? And there would be no. So it depends on the job scenario as well. Okay, so other than that, so one would also want to do graduate studies for better facilities and better professors. So by better facilities, I mean that the universities over there are world class. So all the world class research is going on over there, and the equipment that you would need and the peer group you would need to do world class research would be already over there. And also the professors over there are the best of their fields. So a person in MIT who is a professor in a specific field would be the world's greatest person in that field. And you would be actually taught by those people and you would be researching alongside them. That is. So there is a pretty interesting fact. So over here, if you want to become professor of IIT, it is pretty easy for you. So you have to do your PhD and then your postdoc, and then you can become a professor in IIT without a lot of problems. But if you want to, if you actually graduate from MIT and you want to become a professor at MIT, that is a very tough job. So if you actually graduate from MIT, that does not guarantee your job at MIT. You need to be, you first need to prove yourselves to be the best of the field, and then they would consider you for a professorship or a tenured position at MIT. Right? So over there, these are the best Well, these are the most sought after jobs. That is, in India, people don't usually go for professorships, but it is completely opposite over there. People are dying for professorship jobs, but they are not able to get it. So it means that the professors over there are the best. So which is a very highly motivating factor. So that is the reason why the online courses given by professors over there is pretty good, because the quality of professors over there is excellent, which you won't find over here, right? And I think another motivating factor to go for graduate studies would be to kind of explore more. So you are kind of fed up with this college maybe, and you want to go to a new college, or maybe go to a new country. So you get to meet a lot of people. So over here the diversity is pretty low. You only get to meet people from India, but over there you will be having classmates from all over the world. So you get to expand your horizons over there and make new contacts, and that also leads to personal growth. So, so these are one of the few points why you would want to do graduate studies. So does anyone have any questions about this? Yeah. Yeah.
How was working in NVIDIA different from core research? Were you able to pursue these in labs, or is it too much domain related, or?
Okay, so his question was that I worked at NVIDIA for 2 years. So what is the difference between work at NVIDIA and a core research at NVIDIA? Oh, sorry, core research at the university. Yeah, in your field, right? So the difference is, so I have actually done research at NVIDIA too. So we had some research projects, so research project would mean solving a problem which has not been solved before, right? So you have to figure out the ways to solve it. So I worked on a couple of research projects over there. So at NVIDIA, because it is a commercial organization, and it has to make profits. So the projects it would be taking would be those which improve its profits in a way. But that is not the case in an academic research environment. So a person doing research in academia doesn't have to care about profits. So he only has to care about the advancement of his field. So in that way, he is more free to pursue the topic of choice. Right? So in a way, that is more free. But still, if you are not the top researcher in an academic environment, then you get to have more impact by doing research in industry, because your research is improving the industry, and it has a very magnifying effect, because your industry is, your company might be a $10 billion company. So your output might contribute to that $10 billion, which can lead to a lot of impact. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we'll come back. Okay, so the job prospects. So as I said that the average salary over there for an electrical or computer science student would be $90,000. So currently I am restricting myself to US, and these points may only loosely fit for other countries like Germany or UK. So all the points I would be saying today would be for US. Okay. So coming back to your point, that is, what are the job prospects? I would say pretty good, because if you are in a good university and you are doing a subject of your choice and it has the market demand, then it is a fact that Silicon Valley kind of needs more engineers, and it is unable to find them, which is why they have an immigration program going on, that is H-1B visa. So the prospects are good, but you need to be sure that the prospects are good in your field, right? So before applying, for example, if a person is applying for power systems in electrical, so he has to research beforehand what is the job prospects for power systems in US before applying. So it is very much field dependent. I would say that the job prospects for computer sciences is pretty bright, because Silicon Valley is the hub for computer sciences. Other than that, you will have to research yourself. Yeah, so I have this kind of trivia fact over here. So you might have maybe read somewhere that Stanford or MIT or similar university has a acceptance rate of around 5 to 10%, but your IIT over here has a acceptance rate of 2%. Right. So that is for IIT. I am considering that there are 10,000 seats and 5 lakh people are applying. So doesn't this mean that getting into Stanford is easier than getting into IIT? What are your thoughts on this? So do you think this represents that Stanford is easier to get into as compared to IIT? So I can see a few no's. Can you explain why? So this is true, but why don't you think getting into Stanford is easier than getting into IIT? Yes. Right. So yeah, he made a very valid point that in IIT everyone is going to apply into IIT. Right? So everyone who is into engineering would be applying into IIT. So I'm not. So yeah, you have JEE Mains and JEE Advanced. I'm just considering that. I'm considering the IIT JEE days. Right. So you had 5 lakh people applying for 10,000 seats. But over there in Stanford, for example, only the people who are very interested in Stanford and think that they have a chance of getting into if they apply, only they apply. So in Stanford, the stats would be if there are 100 seats, there would be 5,000 people applying, right? So, and those 5,000 people are one of the best qualified people who think that they can get into it because they have to complete a very rigorous application process, and they have to give admission fees to them. That is application fees to them. So normally people only apply to places where they think they have a chance, right? So but those 5,000 people over there or 10,000 people over there applying to Stanford are very well qualified than the people applying to IITs. So in that sense, getting into a top college is much more difficult than getting into top 5 IIT maybe, because you have people from all over the world applying to the best colleges of the world, right? So it creates a big competition. So I know that this might seem a little discouraging because everyone thinks that they are not the top of the world, right? So this is actually a very good cognitive bias where even if you ask a person who has a Nobel Prize, even if you ask him, he will say that I am only doing okay. So this is a very big bias in everyone's mind where one thinks that he is performing worse than he actually is, right? So I just want to tell you that this 5% is much better than this 5% because there are a lot more universities. So there might be one Stanford, but there is UC Berkeley, you have Carnegie Mellon, you have Pennsylvania, and the seats for all of them matter. So this leads to a very interesting point in the application process. So the application process for masters or PhD in US is multidimensional. By multidimensional, I mean that they look into a lot of parameters for judging you as an applicant. Written exams where you are asked questions on English, and so on GRE you are asked questions on English and on mathematics, and the level of mathematics is from class 8th to 10th. So it is pretty easy, and a person is expected to get 170 out of 170 in mathematics section because we all have studied a much higher level of mathematics than what is being asked over there. So if someone does not make silly mistakes, he should get 170. That is full marks in mathematics, which is so you should have a benchmark of getting the top marks in mathematics section. So because it is pretty easy for all of you. And then so GRE also has an English section, which is challenging. It is challenging because Indian students normally don't have a very good English skills. That is, they are used to, so a typical IIT student has neglected his school English in his 11th and 12th, and due to that I can expect that he has relatively poor English than a person who would have studied 11th and 12th better, right? So GRE English would be slightly more challenging. So a person actually preparing for GRE has to study more for English and to get better marks. So I had a score of 163 in English and 164 in mathematics. So I know that I screwed up in mathematics, and that is the reason why I don't want you all to screw up in mathematics. And there is also a analytical writing section where you have to write on some topics. That is, it is a kind of an essay writing. So where you are just on your writing skills as well. So it is another section which is pretty challenging for all of us because we are not used to writing a lot of things. So when you are actually asked to write a good essay when a timer is going on, we might fail to write good essays at that moment. So that is also a pretty challenging section. So yeah, so there are three sections. That is, first is quantitative, that is mathematics, and then second is analytical reasoning, analytical verbal. I'm not sure. It is verbal section which is mostly English, and then the third section is analytical writing, where you have to write some essays on the topics that they ask you on. And the analytical writing is out of 6 points, and I got 4.5 out of 6 in that. So an interesting point about GRE is that the marks are standardized. That is, you can say that if you have a score of X, it is kind of, it corresponds to some percentile. That is, if you get 160, then I might be in the top 5 percentile. So it is kind of fitting into a Gaussian curve. So they take all of the students and then they fit it into a Gaussian curve. So which prevents variance over test dates. So a student giving test on a day, and then another student giving the same test on another day. So the test contents might be different, but they kind of normalize it together so that they fit in a same range. So if you're actually improving in that test, GRE, so it means that you are actually improving. It is not a fluke or luck. So there is pretty less chance of having a luck factor in getting a good GRE score. So you need to prepare well for GRE. So getting back to the challenging section of GRE, that is English. So GRE requires you to have a good vocabulary as well. That is, you are expected to know certain words. So there are I think 1200 or 1500 words, GRE words that a person is supposed to know, which might be appearing on the test, GRE test itself. So if you are preparing for GRE, then you are expected to know all those words, because knowing those words will help you in solving the questions that are being asked. Because if you don't know the word itself, you won't be able to decipher the meaning of what the question is being asked in the GRE test itself. So the questions won't be that, tell me the meaning of this word. It would be a question where that word fits into some other meaning. So you need to have a very, very good command over English for getting a good score. Right. So the questions that are usually asked on GRE is that, so before that, one of the very big policy that all of us have for GRE is that GRE is the most important component in your application process. And I would say that is completely wrong. So over here we are kind of used to getting your results on the basis of test scores. So you got your seats in IIT on the basis of your IIT-JEE or JEE mains or JEE advanced, and then you might be getting some other things over here on the basis of your class marks. I'm not sure. So that is not the case for GRE. So GRE is just a test of your aptitude and your English. So it just says that a person who has a good score in GRE has good English and he is eligible to take a higher level course, a graduate level course in US. Because if he is lacking good score in English, then it means that the person lacks good English skills and he might not be able to perform well when he actually joins the graduate class. So it is not that if I get full score in GRE, I would get an admit at the top universities. Yeah, that will surely help, but GRE is just a kind of a cutoff. So a good university would say that I have a score of 325 out of 340, and if a person has score less than that, I won't be considering his application because he is lacking. But if he has 335, then he won't be at a very good advantage as compared to a person who has 325. So it is just a kind of a cutoff where if you get good marks, then you are almost good to go. So even though it is important, kind of, because if you don't get a good GRE score, you won't be considered into the application process. But the main mistake Indian students make is that they focus too much on GRE. That is, they focus 3 months on GRE, and that is to get a good score on GRE, and then they later realize that it did not matter a lot after all. So yeah, you should have this in mind. So I will get to the other points which matter other than GRE. So another good question to ask for GRE is, what is a good GRE score? Right. So GRE is an exam which has marks out of 340. So it has two sections, that is English and mathematics. English has a score of 170 and mathematics also has a score of 170, and they both add up to 340. And then you have a third section which has score out of 6, which is the English writing section. That is essay writing section. And then you are awarded marks out of 6 for that. So while reporting your GRE score, you report it as some marks out of 340 plus some marks out of 6. Okay, so I would say a good score would be maybe 325. So 325 out of 340 is a kind of a good score, which says that a person would be comfortable with that score, and the main point is that the universities would be comfortable with that score. So 320 is also okay, it is good, but scores less than 320 is definitely a red mark. So avoid getting scores less than 320 and aim for any score higher than 325. Okay? Yeah? What? That's full score. Yeah, so I think if you get 340 out of 340, I think there is a special benefit, because the person who is actually judging your application would see that he has scored full marks, which means that the student is exceptional. So he would be giving more attention to the other parts. That is, he would already have a kind of a good impression of that candidate, that if he has scored 340 out of 340, he must be good in other areas too. So that is the way how a good score in GRE would
English, because that is preparation, or is it cultivated by reading more and more novels?
Okay, so the question is, how do you improve English for GRE mentoring? So I would be listing a few resources for you all. So the best resource for GRE words, that is, if you want to read up on words, is the Android or iOS app, that is Magoosh GRE flashcards. So I would actually write it. Okay, so this is the app that is very useful for learning the words that are required for GRE. So it is a simple Android free app for Android, or I think also iOS, where you can go through words, and then it has an option for mastering words. So if you are sure that you have mastered a word, then it won't appear again, kind of. So it will only show you words that you don't know yet. So that way it is a pretty good learning resource. And then other than that, there is a ETS GRE book, which is I think for 450 rupees, which is the official guide by ETS. And ETS is the company which organizes GRE. So this is a this is a must-have book if you are preparing for GRE, because they will tell you how to attempt different sections, and then that is the kind of a golden way to attempt the sections. And other than that, you can go for other books if you are in need of more resources. So there are a lot of publishers out there. Some of them are Kaplan, Baron, Manhattan Prep. So all of them have GRE books. So you can also refer to them, but they are more costly than this book. So other than that, I would, if a person is going to give GRE in a short while, I would also recommend him to do more questions, kind of. So you have to go through test series to get comfortable on the questions that they are asking, and then to get to know the format there is. Because GRE is a standardized test, the format of GRE is not going to change. It is set in stone. So there is a pretty set format, and the more you are familiar with the format, the better chances there is for you to get better marks into it. So I would really recommend you to do more practice questions, which I think you might find free on the internet. Or so I had a Kaplan test series where it has targeted questions for different sections. So you would have 10 test series for English, 10 test series for mathematics, and then maybe 5 tests overall, that is comprising of everything. So these two are the starter if you want to get started with GRE preparation. And when you start going through this book, it will actually tell you what kind of questions are you going to get when you actually give the exam. So this is a pretty important and must-have book for that.